Well, hey now, everybody. It's the Rob from Kiss 106 and 103gbfrocks.com. And oh boy, am I excited for today's episode. Anybody who's watching live knows I've got a special guest in the studio. But what they don't know is I've also got a special guest on the phone line. So let me first introduce my guest on the phone. Hello, caller. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Jerry Valeri, and I am the Rob's tag team partner in podcasting.
That's right.
I'm currently speeding on 71 North towards Cincinnati, and hopefully they don't have any talking on the phone while driving laws here in the wonderful state of Kentucky.
We got Jerry over the phone line. We don't have video of him. He is on his way back to State College, Pennsylvania to entertain the masses. But I'm excited to say...
And I know you want to introduce somebody else, but I'd like to say, Evansville, thank you for having me. Rob, holy smokes. From GBF to KISS to Liberty and everybody in the building and everyone I met at lunch yesterday. I mean, Evansville,
oh, yeah.
I ate at your restaurants. I pooped in your public stalls. I tipped your servers. I got into fights with people that worked at your amusement parks, and I had an absolutely wonderful time.
Jared, we loved having you. We can't wait to have you back, pal. And I know it's not too long. I mean, it won't be as wrestling filled in October, but you're coming back in October. I'm holding you to it.
Oh, I'm absolutely coming back. I'm one of the top main eventers in a very special wedding. And
so
it's a match made in heaven. It's like a SummerSlam wedding.
It's like a SummerSlam wedding. And then we've got a guest here in the studio, Jerry. And Jerry, for a shoot, does not know who it is. Would our guest in studio like to introduce himself?
Well, I got to tell you something, Jerry Valeri. I'm disappointed for two reasons. One, that you would abandon your tag team partner to let an old tag team partner come in and take your place. And two, I'm also very disappointed that you would leave Evansville on the very night Joe Diffie will be here in concert.
That's not a coincidence.
Listen, number one, I didn't abandon my tag team partner. I'm headed home to my wife. And two, suck it, Cornish.
Well, make sure you throw her a baby when you get there, all right?
Literally, just toss her one.
I love that Joe Diffie's in town, and I'm ghosting him just like he did my interview.
So we've got everybody here. We got Eric Cornish in the house. We've got Jerry Valeri, and of course I'm here too. We were all at SmackDown Live at the Ford Center last night, and it's time to talk about this because a good bit happened. So Jerry and I were talking because I am sitting next to Jerry. I know you were up in the box, weren't you, Cornish?
Well, yeah, no, I'm something special.
So Jerry and I were talking, and we were about halfway through, and Jerry's like, "This has been a pretty great SmackDown," and I was like, "Yeah, if you're watching this on TV, you might not love it." And he's like, "I think it's been pretty good." But by the end of the show, I was like, "You know what? This wasn't half bad.
Not bad.
No, it wasn't half bad." And I wonder, I'm gonna watch it back on TV when I get into town, and I don't know how much of it's like I'm at the show, so of course it's better, and how much of it was really just a good SmackDown. But I'll say Randy Orton cut the best promo I've seen Randy Orton cut in a long time. Like he was the most interesting he's ever been for me for the last half a decade. Samoa Joe stuff was great. I geeked out over the Ellsworth stuff.
Same.
I thought the end with The Miz was really cool. I think New Day Insanity was a little flat, but it was. But for me, I've never seen Shinsuke Nakamura live before, and I got to see him last night. I've never gotten to see Samoa Joe or AJ Styles live before, or Daniel Bryan. So, there was a lot of factors, but I really enjoyed SmackDown last night.
Go ahead, Jer or Eric.
Well, Jer, we have had this conversation predating you, that Rob and I have had this discussion that I like house shows and live events better than TV tapings to attend live. And I know Rob disagrees. There's good things about both of them, but I think last night, to me, when I was up in the suite and I was there with some people who hadn't watched wrestling since the Attitude Era, so that was the interesting thing to watch their reaction to it.
Billy.
Well, Billy was one of Billy Bolin, our chief of police here, but we had a couple other guys. Andy was up there, a good guy that I've known for a while, and he was just like, yeah, I remember like the NWO, and that was really it, right? So to watch him and kind of his reaction is like the ups and downs of a TV taping where, especially when the opening match, the dark match was Naomi versus Sonya Deville. And then they went immediately into the opening of SmackDown. You had the long promo for Randy Orton. You had recaps. You had all this stuff. I mean, it was a good 20 minutes before we had another match. And I think we're used to it, but watching people who aren't used to being at something like that, like they got bored real quick. So I like more of a wrestling show and where you can interact and that kind of thing, where you're not, nailed down to time cues and things. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, and go ahead, Jared.
Go ahead, Rob.
All right,
go ahead.
Here's my take on that. Like, I love, there are benefits of being at a house show or live event. I love how they interact with the crowd at events like that. We've talked about that before, and we've taken advantage of that plenty of times.
Sure.
Interact with wrestlers, and they do seem laid back and they have more fun. For me, the backbone of why I like the TV tapings is I like to be able to say, I was at the SmackDown where blank. And like last night we got a few of those moments. Like I can say we were at the SmackDown where James Ellsworth got fired. We were at the SmackDown where The Miz threw his baby at Daniel Bryan.
We were at the SmackDown where Randy Orton cut a decent promo.
Yeah, and the stuff, it feels more important to me by leaps and bounds when it happens on TV than when it happens at a house show. To me,
I will say this about the Randy Orton promo. This is something I could almost hear Vince backstage talking about. Randy saying he's been doing this for 16 years and outlived everybody else. But being there live and watching the cameramen trying to track him down, I can see Vince going, 16 years and he can't work the hard camera. Come on, pal.
And, in honor of Cesaro's return last night, I'm going to play Switzerland in this whole debate because I agree with both of you. I'm very neutral. I think house shows are awesome, and I really appreciate house shows. However, I will say that as someone that has only gotten house shows for the last decade and not been to a TV taping and not been able to take my son to a TV taping, I've just taken him to house shows, and we've had such a good time. Last night, I'm sitting there at this TV taping, and I was reminded how big the spectacle is, just how much bigger it is. And I was like, I got to get his butt to it. I mean, I don't like I don't like watching Naomi matches. I don't get excited for Naomi. But when the Titantron and all the lights and everything kicked on for her, I was like, holy smokes, this is epic. This is just so much fun.
The house shows have gotten good about the entrance videos, but you don't get that ramp and the whole lighting show at a house show. I agree. The set is another reason why I greatly prefer the TV tapings as opposed to a house show.
Plus the WWE house shows. I think the house shows that, Eric, if you really think about it, the house shows you've enjoyed the most, you probably enjoyed about 15, 20 years ago. And Rob, is probably the same for you as well. And I remember one of my favorite house shows I've ever been to was an ECW house show. Because you've got the Dudley Boys cursing at the crowd. You've got people going crazy, really getting the crowd involved and really going, you never know what you're going to get at a house show. And as much as the WWE tries to say, you never know what you're going to get at a house show, pal, because you might get AJ Styles may win the United States Championship at Madison Square Garden, pal. You never know. Well, guess where he's not going to win it? It's Bryce Jordan. Like, I do know what's going to happen at a house show. I never know what's going to happen on a TV taping because someone may come out with a fake baby.
Right.
True.
Yeah. And it's weird because the Bryce Jordan Center, which is State College's, Ford Center, it used to be, they were on the circuit for TV. They would get
some big Raws there, Rob.
Yeah, for sure. The first draft was there. Batista made his contract signing for Triple H for WrestleMania out there. That one was on the box set of the best 20 Raws ever, according to WWE. So they used to be on the circuit, and Evansville used to not be on the circuit. Between 98 and just a few years ago, we didn't get TV. And then State College went away, and Evansville got the boost.
We've had 4 now.
Well, I think it's been 1 a year dating back to when Christian came in 2012.
Yeah, so we've had 3 SmackDowns and a Raw, so that's pretty cool. Yes.
All right. I didn't know if Joe was going to react to that or not. So, So other highlights of the show last night. Well, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of in-ring action on SmackDown to really cling to. Like, I don't think everyone's going to, I don't have to go back and watch that Carmella match. I loved having her up here, but I don't need to go back and see that one. I did like seeing Sanity and New Day, though. Sanity brings just a presence to me. I don't know that they've brought to the main roster what they brought to NXT, but still, I like them.
I got to tell you something that really stood out to me last night, and I know we've seen it over the last few years, but the impact, and no pun intended, that TNA has had on this company, you know, when they wanted to ignore them for so many years, and now you look at it, and it was almost like last night you had two former TNA champions wrestling, and then the winner of that match coming out and attacking another former TNA champion to challenge him for the TNA title, and another one standing at ringside during the Sanity. Well, two of them, stand in the Sanity and New Day match. So, you know, TNA had a bigger impact on things than WWE would have liked to let on a few years ago.
One thing Jerry and I were talking a lot about is, you know, the action on 205 Live. It's not a bad wrestling product.
No, it's not.
But holy cow,
the crowd couldn't be deader.
It's because of the placement. I mean, we got 2 hours of important action, you know, wrapping up with the Miz and Daniel Bryan and the baby thing, and then you just pull the plug.
Yeah.
When you go into the opening contest at 205 Live. I wish there were a way for them to do that first, because I think the crowd would be so much hotter for 205 Live, and you'd keep people there. And I don't know, that was a rough transition for me. Was true for you, Eric?
Yeah, totally.
Go ahead,
Case in point is, look how excited people were. People were popping for Sonya Deville and Naomi.
Yeah.
Like at an hour before the show, or 30 minutes before SmackDown starts, everybody, I mean, there were woo chants and what chants, shame on you, outside the Ford Center. So people around 5 o'clock were wanting to see wrestling badly. By the time SmackDown was over, you can't follow up AJ and Samoa Joe and Daniel Bryan and The Miz with Jack Gallagher. You can't do it.
No, but you know what? I mean, I know that you had to step out for a little bit of it, but that four-way match at the end of 205 Live, that was by far the match of the night. That was fantastic.
I agree. Very good.
And I mean, this is really the third episode of 205 Live I've ever seen in my entire life. And it didn't really hook me to want to keep watching, but that match was great. And I know a few weeks ago they had an amazing match, a hardcore match. Was it Mustafa Ali and why can't I think of who it was? It's because it's
Buddy Murphy.
Buddy Murphy. Thank you.
Well, for those of the listeners that weren't there, when you watch 205 Live, or if you don't watch 205 Live, when it's going on, half of the crowd is enjoying the match quietly, but they're enjoying it. The other half, I believe, felt like they were being held hostage because they just wanted to see the six-man. They wanted to see the Bar and take on Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, and they had to wait for 50 minutes to get it. And so I think that they get a little resentful for that.
Hostage is an interesting word because, man, I just wish they would have put that first. I didn't really want to sit there, but I wouldn't say I was being held hostage for that main event. I just wanted to see everything that was being offered. But yeah, I could have done without it, or really just, you know, even if it's like the pre-show where people are filing in, you know, and it's just like, I still think that would be better because the people that are there would be hot for it, wanting to see wrestling, as opposed to right after it when everybody's really drained.
And, you know, I didn't like the way they were presenting the cruiserweights when they were on Raw, but I would like to see them integrated a little bit better into either one of the programs. Like you don't have to change all the ropes and the mats and the color. Just get them on there every now and then, you know, I
thought Nitro did a better job when they worked their cruiserweights in, and they didn't feature them much, but when they put them in, they just worked them in. They just worked them in better.
And honestly, I don't mind if you throw them in against other guys. I mean, and you know, I don't want to see them jobbed out every time, because that's kind of what they did in the mid 90s, you know, which they'd have Bryan Christopher, you know, in a match with Taka and it'd be competitive. But then as soon as they throw Taka against somebody else, then he's going to get squashed. But throw him in the mix. What's wrong with throwing Tozawa in there in a match against Samoa Joe or something? You know what I mean?
I agree 100%. Because that's the way. I mean, the Attitude Era used to do things like that. It was just like, exactly. Taka and Grandmaster Sexay, it's competitive. And then, you know, every once in a while you would see them in the Royal Rumble, for God's sake.
Sure,
you know, and that was a better way to do it, in my opinion.
Also, Hideo Itami and AJ Styles would be a fun freaking match.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great, and AJ and any one of those guys, or Daniel Bryan and any of those guys, like they have such good, their work rate's fantastic.
You just need to let more people know who they are.
What's funny is if you look at AJ Styles and to a greater degree, Daniel Bryan, they're smaller than some of the dudes in 205 Live.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I know they listed Daniel Bryan last night at 210, but I think they only did that just to make sure he's not under 205.
Yeah.
That's a lie. That is a lie and a half.
Too. AJ's got it. AJ's every bit of like 189, right?
So there was one thing else I thought was interesting to talk about, and you really get a feel for it at the arena. But to me, there were certain people whose merch you see a whole lot more than anybody else's. And for me yesterday, like when Raw was here, it was all Enzo and Cass, and it wasn't that way this time. This time it was Rusev #1.
Yes.
Rusev is the best. Rusev #1 in Evansville. I saw a whole bunch of Hardy stuff. And I would say even above Cena. Oh, who was the third name I said, Jared? Do you remember?
I thought AJ Styles.
AJ Styles. I saw a lot of Daniel Bryan stuff too.
Yeah, and also strangely a ton of Alexa Bliss stuff. I saw at least,
which they weren't even selling.
I know, but people still had it.
To be fair, Rob, the one guy we saw in an Alexa Bliss shirt was almost and drunk.
Okay, you're right about that. That was only the one guy who came up and talked to us. I saw a whole bunch of Little Miss Bliss stuff. I'm telling you.
Eric, such a fun moment outside the Ford Center. We're waiting to get in, and I'm soaking in everything that Evansville has to offer.
Check this out.
Rob has the Ellsworth shirt on that I got him for Christmas. So it's just Ellsworth's face. It doesn't say anything. It's just Ellsworth's face. And this guy, I mean, he stumbles up to us and he's like, oh, look at that old dog on your shirt. That's there. That's funny. You found a shirt that looks like Ellsworth. And it is. And he's standing there in like 2 different colored shoes, ripped up Adidas pants, and an Alexa Bliss shirt that's like right fresh off the rack.
Your phone was breaking up there for a sec, Jared. But what Jared was saying, he thought the guy on my shirt looked just like James Ellsworth.
How did they do that?
Like, the guy on my shirt looked just like him. So yeah, and boy, and we were literally, I mean, Jerry was right next to Steve. I was 2 seats away from Steve. Steve got to be there because Steve hates Ellsworth. I don't know how much you've been following.
Really?
He just hates Ellsworth with a passion. And boy, Steve lit up when he saw that Ellsworth got fired when he was right there in the audience.
You know what? To me, I like Ellsworth, and I know you guys do too. But you talk about a guy living the dream, coming in to do some enhancement work, only gets picked because he looks like a complete moron, and he gets a contract, two contracts out of it. I mean, he's done some stuff. He's set on the indies for life.
Absolutely. And I think even a return is still not out of the question at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
he wasn't a guy who went off and did shoot interviews and burying anybody. He's just likable, he's dependable, and he's happy to be there. And we should also probably show some love to Mike Mikas.
Absolutely. Yeah. He got roughed up by Daniel Bryan, but
yeah, I mean, listen, you can say it's like, he was an extra or whatever, but this is exciting for a guy on that level. It's like,
absolutely.
To be involved in the show in any capacity is huge. And not only that, he got to take some bumps, so that's exciting for him. So a big shout out to Mike, who I know watches this from time to time and obviously is doing a great job. And, I still think the chance of him getting signed is, there's no reason why he wouldn't.
If you don't know who Mikas is, of course, he's a local guy. He's a local wrestler in a lot of federations around town and regionally, but he also, you might see him bouncing at a bar. He does that a lot, but he was the one, he was the African-American dude that got kind of chucked into the thing by Daniel Bryan after he came through the red rope.
And I'll tell you, there was like a chant going for him when it happened. So that was even how I became aware that it was him in the first place. So good job to Mike and everyone involved in SmackDown last night. And I want to thank, both of you guys. I mean, Jerry, Jerry drove 10 hours to be there. They even put a sign on during the commercial break. They did the sign of the night. One person said, I drove 4 hours to be here.
Right.
And I wanted to be like, you jobber. Valeri drove 10. He's not even on the line. Where'd he go? Hold on a second. Let Let me get him back up. Jerry, we must have lost him. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me 1 sec.
See, this is what happens. Joe Diffie comes to town.
Oh, here he is. Hey, Jerry, you there?
I'm sorry, pal. I'm in the hills of Kentucky.
God damn, pal. Come on. He's gonna he's gonna hang up on us, and then we'll build suspense. I love it, pal.
I love it.
I was thanking. Well, I wanted to thank Eric for sticking around, and also, I mean, I owe you a big debt of gratitude for getting
or debt of gratitude, either one.
Well, what I say?
Debt of gratitude.
Oh, but I owe you that and a debt of gratitude because you started this show and you picked me to do it with, and I just hope that I've taken over the reins and lived up to your expectations.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, I watch the podcast just about every week, a couple times. You guys are doing great, very entertaining, and I'm glad that you guys continue on. I love the chemistry you have. Obviously, good friends. I can't wait for the wedding. I'm ready to party with both of you guys.
Did you get your save the date?
Absolutely.
All right, great.
I'm
perfect.
there, man.
And then Jerry, you did drive 10 hours, not just for SmackDown, but to come and spend time with me and the Post to Post universe. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for making that trip. And I know you're on your way back now. And just thank you. Thank you for being here because you made this an awesome weekend.
I love you, buddy. SmackDown was just gravy. I came specifically so I could talk to your county prosecutor. That's why I came to town. I wanted to meet Nick Herman, and so I finally got to, and that was really special for me.
I imagine most of the Post universe is probably at that misdemeanor wash event happening at the courthouse as we speak.
Yeah, I stopped by. I had my warrant listed. It was really fun.
And then as soon as the interview is over, Carmella's at the door, and I hated to rush Nick out, but we had to because Carmella was.
Oh my gosh, I was borderline rude to him because I was just like, "Hey, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here."
Did you actually say that?
I did. I thought he would take it as a joke, but he didn't laugh, so I apologize.
I don't know that you see him laugh all that much, but thank you, Jer, and thank you, Eric, for both being on the show today. Unless there's anything we missed, is there anything that you think we should talk about, either one of you, that we didn't cover yet?
I mean, we glazed over Rusev, but I think we ought to at least mention the interaction he had with Lana and Aiden English, and who knows what's going to happen there.
Jerry was saying SummerSlam for them, and I think that sounds about right.
Could be, but where does Lana go? Could she be like in a neutral corner, perhaps? I don't know.
I would think that she stays with her husband, but I don't
Miss
exactly
Elizabeth
know.
sort of situation.
What do you think, Jer?
Well, I think that we're setting up Rusev and Aiden English at SummerSlam for sure.
Do you think Lana's going to be impartial, or will she be with one or the other?
They tried that. They tried that with Dolph Ziggler, and they tried that a little bit with Enzo, and it works better with Lana and Rusev.
I think so too.
I agree.
All right, Jer, what about you? Did we get everything?
I think we hit everything. I'm currently at a gas station, and it's like $1 less in Kentucky than it is in Pennsylvania. So I'm gonna fill my trunk up with gas. I'm gonna buy a gas tank.
All right, pal. Hey, listen, thanks for stopping whatever you were doing to talk to us, and Eric, thank you for hanging out with us this morning too.
Good to be back.
Have a good few days off because we're going to be back on Tuesday. We'll recap Raw on Monday and all that good stuff happening next week on Post to Post.
Joe Diffie, I'm coming for you.
Woo!
See you,
coming after you. Thanks so much, Jerry, and thank you, Eric. And we'll be back next week here on Post to Post.